It may not be big to you, but let me explain why you need to be interested in this. It's the Diddy trial. The Diddy trial started yesterday, and it's just jury selection here. But this isn't about Diddy. This isn't about his freak-offs. This is about having a list of elites who do terrible, demonic, horrible things, and they've been getting away with it your entire life. And just like the Epstein list, there's some people on this list that when you find out that they were part of this, I don't even want to call it debauchery because, you know, if you're a swinger and the consenting adults or whatever you do, I don't care if you got to get your foot caught in a bear trap in order to get your jollies or whatever. But whenever you have this coercion, whenever you have the drugging of people or you have minors involved who can't consent, well, then it just becomes flat out evil. Then it becomes something that turns immediately from, you know, one of the funnest times on earth to one of the most evil things you could possibly do. And that is the conundrum about sex. Consensual sex, best thing in the world. We're all big fans. I am, you are, Trina is, we all are. Non-consensual sex, straight to the wood chipper. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. You need to go to jail forever. So this is sort of that same sort of vibe where if you have been paying attention to the whole scene, which doesn't take a microscope to see, these people are known for their parties. And guess what? Rock stars and musicians and actors and, you know, professional athletes, and they have this whole level of success that you and I will never attain. They get to go to parties that you and I are never invited to, and they get to have a little more interest in, bedroom activities than the average person gets. I mean, look at me. I work in radio. Not getting a whole lot of offers now, am I? But it's that thing. It's the coercion. It's when it goes beyond. You can't just be happy with that. Now you got to be drugging people. Now you got to be getting underage participants, both male and female. The prostitution thrown in there's kind of ugly too. Gross. And so are these people going to get away with it the rest of your life? Because they've gotten away with it your entire life so far. And it's not just like a comparison. This isn't a simile where it's like the Epstein list. This very well could have a lot of overlap with the Epstein list. This could be a partial with the Epstein list. And let me tell you why I'm watching this like a hawk. Because these crabs are going to pull each other down. If one of them goes down, the incentive for them to just take everyone else with them is going to be there. And so that's probably why you saw Jeffrey Epstein die in his prison cell. Air quotes, committed suicide. Does anyone really think Epstein killed himself? And there's another sort of exciting in the opposite direction aspect. And the fact that he didn't take a plea deal, he may think he can get away with this. Why does he think he can get away? Why would he go to trial? Why would he risk going to jail for the rest of his life unless he thinks he can win? So I'm going to be heartbroken. You're going to be really disappointed if he doesn't go to jail for some of this stuff. Or, you know, if it's proven that it wasn't true, then good for him. And I'm sorry he had to go through so much just to prove his innocence. But you and I both know that's probably not the case. There's a whole lot of smoke out there for there to not be a fire. But there's going to be other people that get rolled up in this, hopefully, when he goes down. And so they're floating out names. And you got to be careful here because just because their name shows up in the trial, just like a name shows up on an Epstein flight log, doesn't mean they went to the island and did the nasty demonic stuff with children. But let's explain some of this here. Page 6 from the New York Post was talking about some of the names that came up yesterday.
Kanye West, Kid Cudi, Michael B. Jordan. These names and other celebrities came up at day one of Diddy's sex trafficking trial in Manhattan. Those names were on a list of possible people whose names might come up at some point during what's expected to be an action-packed 2-month trial.
All right, and here's a lesson here. You heard Kanye West. Oh, he's a crazy person. He was probably doing something bad. Kid Cudi, probably don't even know him. Michael B. Jordan. Oh, man, he's a good little actor. I like him. Is he one of those nasty guys that was going to freak-offs and doing stuff with? No. See, this is what we got to be careful about. That came out yesterday, and so people were scrambling, asking him on Twitter and whatnot. Dude, is there something we need to know about your involvement in freak-offs? And some people did some digging, and the people who were at the trial had to come intervene and say, listen, he was asked about, Michael B. Jordan was asked about to the jury pool because Cassie, Puff Daddy's girlfriend at the time in like 2015, had flirted with Michael B. Jordan. It got around to Diddy, and he called him and threatened him. I don't know if he threatened his life or whatever, but screamed at him and made some threats. And if usually when a threat shows up in court, it's like an illegal threat, like I'm going to kill you or whatever. So don't be rolling up Michael B. Jordan into this just yet. But I have a feeling if this list gets out, and it does have overlap with the Epstein list, this could be sort of the ripcord that gets us to the Epstein list. Because it'll break my heart to find out if some of our favorite celebrities, some of our favorite musical artists, or like Leonardo DiCaprio or Tom Hanks, was going to freak offs and doing terrible things. But the really important ones, I think, maybe at the Diddy trial, probably at the Epstein trial. I'm talking about the billionaires. I'm talking about the men of industry, the titans, the oligarchs, and I mean like literal royal family from the UK and whatnot. This could be a magical time because not only your entire life, pretty much all of human history, going back to the Egyptian pyramids, people in elite positions of power have taken advantage of that in weird, sexual, freaky ways and always gotten away with it. Are those days over? And really, what would you rather see, the Diddy list or the Epstein list? How much do you think these two lists overlap? If we just start pulling on the string, like what all is going to unravel? That's the first question for my next guest. You know him as Prime Time Alex Stein from Blaze Media and city council meetings everywhere. Welcome back to the show, Alex.
James, thank you for having me. And, I agree with this Puff Daddy thing. The people that are connected to him are some of the most powerful people in the world. So I'm just curious to see what is actually going to come out in this trial because, you saw that video of Puff Daddy beating up I think it was his fiance at the time, and it was a horrible video. And he never went to jail for that. And that's because he was, had a lot of power and influence, and maybe he was an informant. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see what comes out in this upcoming trial. But I'm also skeptical in the little black pill, James, and that we won't get anything, just like with the Epstein list as well.
Well, define the term black pilled for people who aren't terminally online like we are.
Well, black pills are just where guys are just kind of hopeless, and we just kind of know that even though, the conservatives are, good and the, Democrats are bad, it's kind of just all one big uniparty, and at the end of the day, we're toast either way. Right. So I don't know, and I try not to stay in that negative mind frame, but there are some things where I get in that kind of mindset. It's like, are we going to get actual transparency? Like, and it's just, I don't know if that's a real possibility, especially if these people are so powerful and they run the media, they might be able to protect themselves.
Well, I wanted to have you on because you had some interesting insight, and I heard it on, of all places, Alex, you were on Sky News Australia. First, how did that happen? You hang out in Australia a lot?
I'm a contributor. I'm a regular guest on Sky News. Yeah, I used to be a paid contributor, then I signed with the Blaze. But yeah, I go and read a show weekly that I love. The people at Sky News are great.
It's hilarious.
I love
of all the people, the guy that clowns our city councils around here is our spokesman to the other side of the planet. That is hilarious.
Well, that's why they like me. That's why they like me, James. They like that I make fun of American stuff. You know what I mean? That's why, honestly,
that's why I like you too. Look, one of the points you made, though, that I heard first from you, how weird is this, is the fact that he even took this to trial and turned down all the plea deals, because they were throwing plea deals at him, means he probably thinks he can get off on, and well, that's probably the wrong terminology. He could beat he's not going to be found guilty.
Well, I mean, let's look at what he is on trial for. I'm not an expert in this. I don't know his attorney. What if he was doing stuff with children and, and Justin Bieber, all that? I don't think that he's on trial for that. I think he's on trial for having crazy parties with adults. And I could be wrong. So you have a jury of his peers in New York City that all love Puff Daddy, even the whites, blacks, Latinos. It doesn't matter. Everybody knows Puff Daddy from a time where I think he's going to get a favorable jury, similar to like O.J. Simpson. So unless they have evidence of him doing something repugnant with a child or, they're going to show him beating up his girlfriend. But even then, I feel like the jury might still be sympathetic to Puff Daddy. So I don't know. He would not be going to trial. Puff Daddy, he might be down as bad as he's ever been, but he would not be going to trial if he didn't think he had a chance. Everybody makes a deal. And I'd imagine that they gave him a good deal. You know what I mean? I don't think that they would give him some half-hearted offer.
Well, I learned something new. People have been reading into the lawsuits, the civil lawsuits that were filed about him. So this didn't even come from the trial. But ABC 7 in New York had reported on Rohypnol in baby oil. Let me play you this, and I'll get your response.
Back in March of last year, Homeland Security agents raided Combs' $40 million home in Holmby Hills. They also raided another home in Miami on exclusive Star Island. Prosecutors claimed during the raids, federal agents seized more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Some of the complaints allege baby oil was laced with Rohypnol, which is known as the date rape drug. The central witness is Cassie Ventura, Combs' ex-girlfriend. This 2016 video obtained by CNN shows Combs kicking and dragging Ventura.
Yeah. So we saw that Rohypnol and baby oil, it still works if you put it in baby oil and rub it on you. I think I just learned that today, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a drug expert, but that does sound fake to me. Like, I mean, I'm sure he had 1,000 bottles of baby oil, but I don't know if it's a crime to have baby oil. And I'm not even trying to white knight for him. Maybe they were mixing drugs with baby oil to knock these people out. But I'd imagine, and this is what I said from the beginning, and I'll always say this, because if I got invited to a Puff Daddy party, I would have gone. I know people that worked with Puff Daddy. They didn't do anything weird. But, you know, these people probably went to these parties willingly. Were there drugs there? I'm sure. Were people laced with drugs? I think that happens all over the world. And I'm not trying to defend Puff Daddy whatsoever. I mean, he was the one that was facilitating all this. But at the same time, I don't know if it's as evil as the media is saying it is. I think that, like, what we need to get on the Puff Daddy issue, we need to know if anything was done to children. We need to know, if people were manipulated, if they used blackmail, if they filmed this, because that's the real crux of all this. They said that they filmed all this. So is LeBron James doing something weird? Because that's what we want. Nobody cares if somebody snorted ecstasy and danced all night and did. I mean, that stuff's not good. But we want to know real crime. I want to know something that really happened. Personally, if they just tell me that he, had these wild parties, that doesn't surprise me for Hollywood. And I don't think that those people went there without intentions of having a wild time.
Do you think there's much overlap with the Diddy parties and the Epstein list?
Well, I think there's a little bit because, it sounds crazy, but it was Hillary Clinton that connected the vote or die with Puff Daddy back in the 90s and then the early 2000s. So it wouldn't be that far-fetched to think that Puff Daddy or Bill Clinton I don't know how close they're connected, but we know that publicly they've had a relationship and that he has helped the Democratic Party with campaigning through major elections. Arguably the vote or die. You remember that, James? We're about the same age. You remember how big that campaign was? Like, now kids don't remember that, but that was like on MTV every second. Vote or die, and it was Puff Daddy, and it was all these,
and Paris Hilton.
Everybody. And so he was a big part of that. So obviously he was connected with politicians, and that's why they do this. That's why they put these people in these compromisable situations with underage people or with sex workers. It's in order to use it as blackmail later on. And I wouldn't be surprised in the music industry, if Puff Daddy, these videos, I'm sure they were used as blackmail. And if that would happen, then Puff Daddy deserves to go to jail. But if Puff Daddy just kind of threw some wild parties, I don't know how. I think I need some more evidence to throw him in jail for the rest of his life.
All true. However, if these things do pan out and he was filming it in order to blackmail people, that sounds like the exact same thing Jeffrey Epstein was doing. And it was almost, if you take them in tandem, Epstein was going after the politicians and P. Diddy was going after the celebrities. And if you can get all of the elites in those two major arenas on the dole or on the program, you can pretty much control the world.
No, you're right. And then you think about Epstein was connected to all these scientists, and then Puff Daddy's connected with all these athletes. So you almost get you really don't, when it comes to the influential list of people, there's no box unchecked when it comes to the connections that Puff Daddy and Jeffrey Epstein had. So I don't know. I'd like to get some transparency. At the same time, as a kid that grew up listening to Puff Daddy, it's sad to think he is in jail. R. Kelly, the top R&B artist, he is in jail. It's crazy. My childhood, all these people from my childhood were... Oh, and this is the last thing I'll say, James, and this is going to freak your audience out. Michael Jackson was investigated for 19 years by the FBI. I don't believe that he was a predator that they accused him of being. But it's crazy. Now we have Puff Daddy and R. Kelly. They are predators. So it's just, gosh, why is every famous person have a checkered past like this, James?
You don't think Michael Jackson was a predator?
I do not. I know it sounds crazy. No, listen. Let me give you this 30-second thing. James Safechuck and Wade Robinson, they're the two people that said in the documentary that they were, sexually molested by Michael Jackson. Well, Wade Robinson was two different times, was the lead character witness for Michael Jackson in criminal cases that civil cases that Michael Jackson always won. He never lost a case, was investigated by the FBI for 19 years, never found any evidence. Real quick.
Okay.
Real quick. The guy that said that he was molested was his lead character witness two different times. Michael Jackson would not have put somebody as his lead character witness two times if he sexually molested him, and Macaulay Culkin and Corey Feldman. And
Alex, you want to just continue this in 6 minutes?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let me just get into the quick rundown.
And then we'll get back to the news of the day. But yes, go ahead.
Yes, but everybody loves this. Everybody loves this, James, because there's documentaries all debunking that one, Leaving Neverland, and the documentarian that did that has been exposed as being a fraud. So real quick, Wade Robinson, he's the main guy that said that he was sexually molested by Michael Jackson. Well, it's funny that in the documentary he said that all this happened when Michael Jackson chose him to be his lead character witness twice. And Michael Jackson at one point had Johnny Cochran as his attorney. I mean, Michael Jackson had the world's top attorneys. And there's multiple people. Yes, it is weird that you have people like Macaulay Culkin said that he would sleep in his bedroom. But you have to remember that Michael Jackson had what was called arrested development. He became a celebrity at the age of 5 years old, so he never got to have a childhood. So he only really kind of resonated with children because, he was just such a bizarre guy, and he did have some mental health issues. But the idea that Michael Jackson was going around the world and hurting kids is insane. And his charities that he did in Africa and all over the world, he raised millions upon millions of dollars feeding hungry people. So the idea that Michael Jackson was like this evil child molester, it's just provably false. And then James Safechuck, the other guy that said that he was molested in the documentary, he said that he was sexually molested by Michael Jackson in the famous train house. Everybody knows the train house at Neverland. It's, it's an iconic thing. Everybody's seen that in pop culture. But it's funny because the year that he said that it happened, not only was the train house not built, but they even reached out to the architect. The architectural plans had not even been drawn for the house. So their stories do not add up. And there was one person he paid, Jordy Chandler, that he paid off because he didn't want to, he just didn't want it to go civilly. It was the first one. And he wanted to fight it, but his attorney said, hey, let's just pay it off. It's easier, said than done to just pay it off. And Johnny Cochran was actually one of the attorneys that wanted to fight it. Well, that Jordy Chandler, his father, and it was his stepfather that pushed Jordy Chandler and was the one that was kind of pushing all this. They ended up becoming estranged immediately, and the father ended up killing himself. He was a decent dentist, and they say that guy had a lot of guilt. Yes, it's a crazy story that Jordy Chandler, the one person that Michael Jackson only ever paid one child. And on top of that, there was one other child that said that, he was, you got to look up this kid. I forget this kid's name because I don't even want to say his name. This kid said that Michael Jackson cured his cancer. His whole family said that. And then about 6 months go by and Michael Jackson's not helping his family anymore. And then all of a sudden he was molested. That ended up being, provably false. There was no evidence for that. And just when you look at Michael Jackson, he was investigated by the FBI. They had these rumors about him. At the same exact time, he was the first person to say the media was lying. And me as a conspiracy theorist, I'm sorry I'm getting so hyped up, me as a crazy person, he was actually right. He was telling us then that the media can paint a story through the tabloids and assassinate somebody's character without any evidence. He was investigated. He never went to jail for it. And yet he was guilty by the court of public opinion. And you look at somebody like Donald Trump, the media loves him, then he becomes president, and the media totally changes. So he was the first.
Well, it's not for nothing because of all the weird relationships he had with minors. Were any of them girls? And also, we have just seen. And I mean, everybody listening to us right now has seen someone in their own lives that thought he's a little bit of weirdo, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And then years later you hear, oh, he actually did do some untoward things, the sexually speaking. And you're like, I should have trusted my instinct. I was being too nice. And I think that's what a lot of people see in Michael Jackson. But
real quick, though, maybe he wasn't with little girls because he thought that might be even more inappropriate. You know what I mean? Because he was a heterosexual male. And I don't know if this is true or not, but there are women, and you got to go look at this documentary. I don't know, that supposedly knew Michael Jackson when he was 20 and the Thriller days when he was coming up. And I, we're on the radio, so I'm not going to say anything that crazy. They said Michael Jackson was an incredible lover and that they enjoyed and there was multiple women that have said that they had relationship with Michael Jackson, and all of them were complimentary.
So did P. Diddy. But listen, back to the P. Diddy thing. if he gets found guilty and goes to prison, I'm kind of interested to see if he ends up in Alcatraz, Alex, because Trump floated this idea of reopening Alcatraz. Now, it needs to be remodeled, but I saw a great idea online, and I've just been kind of building on it. Let's make a celebrity prison, and we could have tours, like let's remodel it, let's build it in such a way that people could pay to go see it. And we could have P. Diddy in there, you have R. Kelly in there, you could have the Tiger King in there, Joe Exotic, maybe Jared from Subway. So
I love this. I love this idea. And even though these are some, sick, twisted people, America is about second chances. I'm not saying we need to give the Subway guy that many second chances, but, I do kind of like the idea of trying to utilize their talent and not letting it all go to waste, while also simultaneously telling a story that people can learn from their mistakes so that they don't make them in the future.
Well, you could put cameras in there and you could have live streaming. You could just drop in on it like the Truman Show, or maybe just make a hell of a reality show. This prison would pay for itself, Alex.
Oh, it would. It would be a huge success. And Donald Trump he's a mega superstar when it comes to reality TV. I mean, The Apprentice was a great show. So, he could team up with Mark Burnett again and make this thing a reality. But real quick, though, James, one thing we do need to give credit for, and he needs to give you and I some more rub, but at least Donald Trump's letting all these influencers and people have access to the White House. I think that's incredible. That makes me so happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just love it so much.
All right, Primetime Alex Stein, where do we find some of your good work outside of WBAP these days?
Guys, find me on Blaze TV, Primetime with Alex Stein. You can watch it for free on YouTube as well. And then I'm on Twitter, at AlexStein99. Give me a follow. And on Instagram, Primetime Stein. Thank you for having me, James.
There he is. Primetime Alex Stein on The James Show. Donald Trump posted an AI-generated picture of himself in the Pope's costume over the weekend. Do you find that offensive? Newsflash, I don't. I did enjoy being told I'm supposed to be offended. I did enjoy being told, oh, yeah, you're a real Christian, but you'll just stand by while your real cult leader mocks your religion. He's not mocking my religion. Number one, I'm not Catholic. So seeing a dude dressed up like a chess piece, that's foreign to me. I don't associate with that at all. When I go to church, we don't do that weird sing talk thing. And my mom's family is Catholic, so I've got enough overlap. I know the difference. I know which one I am. Making fun of the Pope means nothing to me. Absolutely nothing. Sean in the next booth could be wearing a Pope hat right now. I wouldn't even notice for an hour. So no, I'm not offended. And number two, we're not the sensitive ones. We're not the ones that get butthurt when someone uses the wrong words, or that was offensive, or that was not inclusive, or shut up. Don't tell me when to be offended. You guys are offended at straws. I'm a Christian. I know when I should get offended at the way people treat Christianity. And number three, a lot of these are the same people that don't say boo about The Handmaid's Tale or The Righteous Gemstones or actual defamation of Christianity when it happens right in front of their face. Not that I'm all offended that I'm not offended at the shows either. As a Christian, I'm not impressed or I'm not happy that The Handmaid's Tale makes a mockery of my religion and just takes it to some extreme, non-existent level in order to specifically to gin up antipathy toward my religion. I think you're pieces of garbage for doing that. But it's actually a pretty good show. And if you tell a good story and you make it entertaining, and good acting really is in that, I can bypass some of that. I'm not going to lose any sleep over The Handmaid's Tale. But let me ask you this. What is the Handmaid's Tale equivalent for other religions? Is there a dystopian future series about when the crazy Islamists take over and start oppressing women? Because that would be a little more believable, seeing as how right now in 2025 on planet Earth, they are oppressing women. Like every Muslim majority country does not give women their full complement of human rights like the United States does. But no, if we're going to make a dystopian future about a repressive religious theocracy, we got to make fun of the Christians. All right. Well, now you're just gutless. Now you just don't like Christians. Now you're petty little punks, and we see right through it. Or look, go on the positive side. Are you familiar with The Righteous Gemstones? I haven't seen one episode, but I'm probably going to watch all of it because I'm a big fan of Walt Goggins. And really, what's the guy from Eastbound and Down? Why can't I remember his name? Oh my God, I love that guy. He's so funny in everything he touches. The guy who played Kenny Powers. Garrett, are you any good over there? What's his name? I'm going to get 28 text messages in about 30 seconds. But the Righteous Gemstones, thank you. Oh, my God. Give yourself 10 points for that one. Danny McBride. The guy's a genius. He's a role model. And really, I've just tried to be Kenny Powers ever since I saw that TV show. But anyway, that aside, they're making fun of televangelists, TV preachers who lie and exploit their audience to raise a whole bunch of money and live this luxurious, lavish lifestyle. I'm sure it's hilarious. Now, it's not very flattering toward Christianity, but really, where's the TV shows that make fun of other religions? Is there only one religion you people make fun of? Oh, and it happens to be Christianity? So, I'm supposed to believe you when you tell me I'm supposed to be offended as a Christian by Trump and a Pope hat. Why is that hard to say? Are you offended by that? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Isn't that weird? Here, think about it like this, too. Go through your entire Netflix menu, go through your entire Amazon Prime menu, and tell me where's the positive shows about Christianity. Is there any show where a preacher is a protagonist? And I mean made in the last 30 years. Don't tell me when George Jefferson had Amen in 1988. See? They're not totally anti-Christian. The what? Pure Flix? Okay, but that's certainly not on... is that on Netflix? Oh, it is on Netflix. It's not. There's a subset of Netflix called Pure Flix? I thought that was a competing company that was totally not connected to Netflix at all. All right. Well, so they have to put it in its own special category. It's like when you went to the video store when you were a kid and there was that curtained off room in the back. They used to keep the debauchery there. Now they keep the Christianity back there and all the debauchery's in the main room, I guess is how it goes now. Okay. Good deal. Well, thank you for correcting me on that. Take away 3 points for embarrassing me in public. I'm kidding. But yeah, I don't think anyone that is a Christian that was supporting Trump was offended by that. Now, I have seen people make posts on there saying, oh, man, I have this friend who has been a Trumper for the last 10 years, and this was the last straw. He saw Trump in the Pope outfit, and he's like, just as a Christian, that offends me. It's like, that didn't really happen, bro. I'll take things that didn't happen for 200, Alex, because that definitely did not happen. And look, I'm sitting here fielding emails and messages, and not one person who's a Trump supporter is going to say that offends them. Now, are they all lying, or are we really not the sensitive people who are looking for a way to get offended? Smacky over here says Seventh Heaven. What was that, 1992? I didn't see that, by the way. I didn't have cable when I was growing up, so I have some pop culture holes. But yeah, there's a whole industry out there that loves making fun of Christianity and was pretending like you should be offended by Trump in a Pope outfit. And I don't know, that entertained me so good. I just can't believe these people, when they try and convince you should really be offended. Well, I'm not. Now what? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Trump wants to remodel and reopen Alcatraz. I want to take some suggestions on that coming up next on The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, hey, homeowners, with all the rain that we just got today, your roof should be on the top of your mind, not just your house, but on your mind as well. See what I did there? Look, don't just trust me. I want you to go to Google and I want you to read some of the 5-star reviews. And I've been telling you to do that for a few months, but you haven't done it yet, right? Well, that's okay. I know you're busy. I don't do what commercials tell me to half the time anyway. But let me read one of the 5-star reviews for you. This came from last month, April 8th. Blue Ribbon Roofing is the best. We did not understand how the insurance process works. We do now. John, Tish, and Trevor not only called our claim in, but also met the claim representative at our house, got us paid for a new roof, new gutters, and staining on our fence. I didn't know that was even on the table. Blue Ribbon Roofing does. Doris says, we have several properties, and we will always use Blue Ribbon. So you don't have to just trust me or Bob on the ticket or Casey in the morning. Doris trusted Blue Ribbon and was very happy with it. So go to blueribbondfw.com so you can work with a local family-run company here in North Texas, and they will be here. If anything goes wrong, they'll still be in business to come back and take care of it. But here's a little secret. You're probably not going to have anything wrong. They've got crews that have been with them for years. They're not just picking up guys that morning and throwing them on your roof. They do everything right, and you can find out yourself. Go to blueribbondfw.com. Tell them you heard it on the James Show. If you do need a new roof, you get a free ridge vent ventilation upgrade. BlueRibbonDFW.com.